Great seeing you here again. My name is Luc de Kuster, founder of the Kuster Academy, and we're talking about the PMBOK 7th edition, and we are introducing the PMBOK and the different performance domains. We will be talking about the project work performance domain, and in this specific video, we are going to focus on working with procurements. But before we continue, don't forget to click on the subscribe button, click on the bell button, and every time we have a new video, YouTube will inform you about it. The first thing we want to look at is the bid process. We are going to see what is happening in the bid process. And in the bid process, we have the first element, which we call the request for information. It's about asking information. And what do we want to know? We want to know what the market is offering. We want to understand new trends. We want to understand what alternatives we have to the solution that we have in mind, and what solutions may also exist, and we can compare them. So we want to understand what is happening on the market. Are there new trends? Are there things that we can do better for our projects? Based on this, we can then send out what we call a request for quote or an RFQ. Here we ask for a price of an existing solution. We have some idea what we want to do, but we don't have a real idea about how much will this cost. So before we want to finish some contracts, we first selected the possible solutions. Now we are selecting, or we're finding the cost to implement those solutions. And that's the step before the last step, where we talk about a request for proposal. Here we're sending out a document to the possible suppliers to provide us with a solution, with a price for a solution, and it is the basis for signing a contract. Now, when we look at the solutions, they may be complex solutions. Anyway, we want to get from a supplier a price, an offer, to provide us with that specific solution. Now, the seller can, in certain cases, also propose alternative solutions, and then we have to evaluate those alternative solutions. We can use a decision matrix to verify which are the advantages and disadvantages of the different proposals. We can allocate some points, and we can find out which solution that has been proposed by the different possible suppliers will be the best solution that we want to implement later. Now, when we do the bidding, at the end of the bidding, we will have to create a contract. A contract is an agreement between at least two parties. There is a legal part in it. What are the conditions, financial conditions? And there are also the terms and conditions that are applicable for our contract. Typically, a company has their terms and conditions fixed in their documents. They will not change them. Now, in case that you agree to have a contract, that you agree to have different elements or different solutions, different legal terms, different agreements, you can make an attachment to the contract and say, okay, this will be the contract. These elements I will change for this contract. We will not change the original agreement of the company, but we will create an addendum and say which legal parts are in fact different from the T's and C's that the company is typically using. Next to the T's and C's, next to the legal part, we also have the part where we are describing the product or the service that has to be delivered. It will mention what we will be delivering, there will be timing information, and how much will the customer pay when those goods have been delivered. There can also be fines included here, which then are also linked to the T's and C's, because these are also part of, first of all, the product and the service we're delivering, but also they have a legal consequence that when we don't create the project as we agreed, that we, for example, have to pay a fine, or when we provide the service faster or better, that we get a bonus. So that's first thing about contracting. The contract is only valid when all parties have signed it. When we send a contract to a customer, we have a signature from our side. The customer also has a person who will sign. When those two people have signed the contract, or if there are more people, then the agreement becomes valid. If it's only signed by one party, the contract is not valid. So for example, you send a contract to a customer, the customer signs, but your management doesn't want to sign the contract. There is something in that they didn't agree, that you changed, and they don't agree with it. Well, then the contract is not valid. You have to find a way that you resolve the issue. Now, when we look at contracts, there are different kinds of contracts. We have all the theory about contracting, the different contract formulas that exist. For example, time and cost or fixed price cost. All these things are specifications of contracts that can be signed between the different parties. Now, when we look at the different contract types, we also have to understand that there are different risk levels for the buyer and the seller. You try to find a contract formula that is in fact perfect for the different parties. You don't want to have too much risk, and the customer also wants to reduce the risk from their side. You have to find a solution that is acceptable for everybody. It's not always easy, but you have to understand that depending on the contract formula, there will be different risk levels for buyer and seller. So that was it for this video. Don't forget to click on the subscribe button, click on the bell button, and every time we have a new video, YouTube will inform you about it. Thank you very much, and I'm looking forward to seeing you in our next videos. Bye bye.